Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the story behind one of the most, baffling and eerie structures ever built. Picture this, okay? You're looking at this absolutely enormous, sprawling Victorian mansion right in San Jose, California. It's the dead of night, thick fog is drifting around the dark exterior, and you just see these faint, warm lights flickering behind its countless and bizarrely placed windows. It's got well over 160 rooms. This isn't just some architectural marvel, it's a massive monument wrapped entirely in mystery and darkness. We're going to analyze the deep historical and psychological components that created the world-famous Winchester Mystery House.
Okay, let's dive into this. Imagine building a house, not to live in, but to escape the dead. When we think of architecture, we instinctively think of creating a sanctuary, right? A place for the living to find comfort, warmth, and shelter from the outside world. But the source material for today's explainer flips that entirely on its head, presenting us with this chilling, incredibly cinematic premise. We're looking at a massive structure whose very foundation was reportedly poured not to house the living, but to confuse, trap, or just hide from something entirely unseen.
This brings us to Section 1, A House for the Dead, and our main focus here is Sarah Winchester.
Imagine Sarah standing all alone in this dark mansion, surrounded by old photographs and just heavy, heavy shadows. The psychological weight of her early life is the absolute core of this entire mystery. The house is a direct physical reflection of her state of mind. See, she suffered the devastating, unimaginable loss of both her infant daughter and her husband. But her grief was profoundly compounded by this terrifying, deeply rooted belief. She was reportedly convinced that the spirits of all those killed by Winchester rifles, the literal gun that won the West, and the sole source of her immense $20 million family fortune, she thought they were actively haunting her. Her immense grief basically transformed into an overwhelming, paralyzing fear of spectral retaliation.
Which leads us straight into this deep-seated psychological terror in Section 2, the medium's warning, a supernatural mandate.
Let's move to and see how this builds, literally and figuratively. Picture a dimly lit seance room, right? Illuminated only by flickering candles, shadows moving subtly in the background as a desperate Sarah Winchester seeks answers. This actually catalyzes a bizarre three-step pipeline. First, the immense family loss we just discussed. This leads directly to Step 2. During that candlelit seance, the medium reportedly warned Sarah that she would be haunted indefinitely unless she built a massive house specifically for the spirits. And that terrifying warning triggers Step 3. An obsessive compulsion that resulted in relentless, round-the-clock construction. It was a supernatural mandate demanding physical, architectural action.
And that brings us to Section 3, the endless construction, around the clock.
I want you to try and wrap your head around the sheer scale and the relentless pace of the project that followed that medium's warning. We aren't talking about a quick home renovation or adding a cozy guest wing here. No, she built and built and built. For decades, construction reportedly continued around the clock. Imagine the constant, deafening sound of hammering, the creaking of wood, and the distant footsteps of work crews echoing through the halls 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, year after year for nearly 4 decades. Why? Well, legend says Sarah genuinely believed that stopping construction would mean her own immediate death. The house just kept growing simply because she felt her literal survival depended on the sound of the hammers never, ever stopping.
The wild result of all that is Section 4, an architectural maze, a truly baffling layout. When you build constantly with absolutely no master plan, driven only by the primal fear of stopping, you get a deeply confusing layout. It's less of a home and more of an unsettling puzzle constructed of wood, nails, and glass. And this brilliantly illustrates the madness. We've got staircases that are impossibly narrow, rising only a few feet before ending abruptly at a solid ceiling. Doors that, when opened, reveal a sheer drop or just a blank wall. Definitely not the house you want to navigate in the dark to get a glass of water, right? There are windows installed to look not outside at the world, but directly into other interior rooms, and narrow, twisting corridors that just seem to stretch on forever. Walking through this house is a journey into an escalating sense of the absurd. But, as if the maze-like structure wasn't enough, there are these strange, highly specific details scattered throughout the massive Victorian mansion that reveal an even deeper layer of obsession. It wasn't just chaotic building, guys. There was a very deliberate, pretty terrifying motif woven deeply into the madness.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the relentless repetition of one specific number, 13. The number 13 appears relentlessly throughout the entire mansion.
We are literally talking about 13 window patterns, 13 pane windows, and staircases explicitly built with exactly 13 steps. It shows us that amid the chaotic 24/7 construction, there was a deeply calculated, highly superstitious intention behind every single swing of the hammer and every single architectural choice being made.
Which leads to our final part, Section 5, the enduring mystery. A haunted attraction.
Decades later, the dust has settled, the hammering has finally stopped, and the Winchester Mystery House remains one of America's most famous attractions. It forces us to ask what this massive structure truly represents today. So the crucial point is weighing these two sides. On one side, we have the supernatural legend, a house desperately designed to trap wandering spirits, built for ghosts. On the exact opposite side, we have the incredibly tragic psychological reality, the endless maze of a profoundly grieving woman determined to outrun her pain through continuous construction. Whatever the truth is, whether it's the paranormal or just the tragic manifestation of trauma, the house itself remains a physical labyrinth. There's no easy way out of its halls, and there's certainly no easy way to unpack the mind of the woman who built it.
So the only question left is, would you dare to spend one night inside?